So here we are, still in my work boots. In our SUV. Wait a second. Gotta have the goddamn keys with me. Here we are, out at a park, away from the St. Amant home on Oakdean. This is our view. It's fucking beautiful, serene. We get the odd passerby that decides to call cops. That's just how it is. When you're forced out on the goddamn street by the fucking RTC and some slumlords. You can't get around it. You can't get over it. They won't release or bend the fucking judgments that have been put upon us. So you can't rent anywhere. You understand what I'm saying? This shit is fucked up, though. Check this out. Here you go. Here's something for that ass. This is Lola. This is my little girl. Here's where we're living. Check this out. Right? So every night, we bed down in the back of this motherfucker. And at the Flying J truck stop, no less, in Headingley, Manitoba. Here's a little boy. His name is Shadow. He's our good guy, and we love him a whole lot. Hey, buddy. That's my Shadow. Sherry's works version of compassion and sensitivity is she works for the HMO right here in Canada, right here in Winnipeg, Manitoba, Canada. To be exact, she works for the WRHA under two umbrellas. Full-time job as a mobile healthcare aide with over 35 years experience of tenure inside of this HMO right here in Canada, let alone right here in Winnipeg in the province of Manitoba. And a secondary umbrella that she works under, pardon me, is the St. Amant umbrella. What she's doing, howdy ma'am, happy Friday, beautiful dog, you're welcome. What a great day for it too, eh? I said, what a great day for it too, eh? Incredible, yeah. She also works for St. Amant as a direct support staff for a young lady who will remain unnamed just because of the Freedom of Information and Privacy Act. That's not for me to fucking disclose. Anyways, how or however, I hate cats to say that. But anyways, they find out because I urge her to tell them that she's going through some shit, and there is going to be accommodations that they'll make as a proper union to accommodate a staff member going through an emergent life situation. What do? They tell her not to park on the street that the house is on. This is St. Amant at 972 Mulvey Avenue. She told her team leader, Shannon. Shannon proceeded to tell nobody of this emergent, dire life situation of one of her own employees who definitely deserves that at the very least. Considering she's been there for a little more than a decade and has garnered both professional coworker and professional client working relationship. Her client at that address, for example, lightly said, so no, again, no Freedom of Information Privacy Act violations in this next statement. Writes her personal little things like letters and puts them in a card and decorates them, and is just the most, what looks and sounds to me by what Masheri tells me. It's just to be like just a wonderful relationship she's been able to garner with this client. And it broke her heart that once I urged her to tell her superiors, her team leaders, she reports to immediately under that house, that she was of no fixed address. They watched her. They saw me and the cats. They didn't like that. They called her in for a disciplinary meeting and told her, basically smacked her on the hands, literally punched her in the fucking face, and hard YouTube. Told her she could no longer park on the same street that the house is on, and if she did so, she would be moved houses. Around 12 years she's been at this house. MGEU is a joke. No compassion and or sensitivity training. As per Trudeau, opening up the floodgates, and I'm sure we all know what that is referring to and or implying. Thanks, by the way, Trudeau. You fucked this country and this every single goddamn province up in it worse than your pop. At least he had a little bit of fucking backbone, you prick. People, MGEU is not a union. They're a goddamn money cartel. They dip deep into each and every employee's pocket every second week as a so-called deduction check because they're signed up with the union. But that ain't no union. Ain't no union I know in the HMO in Canada. BC Health, heavy accolades and hats off to you. My brothers and sisters working hard in the healthcare industry. In a city and a province that protects you. Tell you what, MGEU, you ain't nothing but a bunch of mark-made ass little fucking bitches. You take $1,100 off this girl every second week. All your bosses have received corporate raises, promotions, and bonuses ever since COVID started. Covert Ident 2019, look it up. We know. You had this young lady have herself to make the decision to get force vaccinated to continue working for you. You know the last cat that did this on the face of this rock? And he ain't dead, he just disappeared. That was Hitler. So my hat's off to you, MGEU, Saint Amant, WRHA. Sad. When a young lady that worked as hard as this particular young lady did for 3 years to get both jobs inside of your umbrella and is tenured staff in the HMO industry in this country, let alone province, let alone city, under, again, the umbrella of the WRHA? Really? Makes you wonder, don't it, people? This is fucking systemic. An RTC commissioner, chief commissioner, highest you can go in the land, of the Court of King's Bench, a little known entity known as the RTB and or the RTC. It's actually the Court of Appeals at the top, RTB bottom left, RTC bottom right. Triangular formation, triangular format. An oversight entity and or committee. The city's opted out of something known as a central response unit. Being, in essence, long story short, an entity that would step in, a separate entity, an Overwatch, SITREP entity, that would step in and halt a live proceeding in real time, in person, when, for example, a tenant or a citizen doesn't know what they're about to agree to, and they're about to do it, they can step in and halt that proceeding accordingly and justly. They can also step in real time, in person, live, and overturn any particularly heinous decisions made by hearing judges at the RTB, hearing officers at the RTB, and or madam and or male chief commissioners, highest you can go in the land, at the RTC. So they would not be able and or allowed to, for example, what happened to us, goes to the property manager, the owner comes by, says, hey, Troy, one night after work, you guys got to move. You got 30 days. Property's being redesignated. And this is live, YouTube. So check this out. Your property's being redesignated. You're being rent-evicted. You got 30 days to move, son. I said, bullshit, I've been here 16 months, and I laughed. Guess that ruffled his feathers and rattled his goddamn cage. Because less than 10 days later, I phoned the RTB right away. Left the message. Somebody got back to me, some cat, the next morning. So know what you're doing right, son. Just stay put. You're going to have a telephonic hearing with one of our hearing officers in less than 10 days. 10 days or so, maybe perhaps less. Hearings are going pretty quick right now. Great. I wait for it. I get the date. I call my work. Sherry calls her work. We get the hearing. We get the phone call. RTB hearing officer comes on, introduces himself. You're the tenants. This is who I am. You're the tenants. Yep. And who are you? We introduce ourselves. Same thing with the landlords. Okay. Pleasantries are out of the way. Now, before we get this hearing going, I have but one question, posed simply for the landlords of 95 Imperial Avenue, Winnipeg, off St. Anne's Road, Des Mirons. Did you ever, Mr. Amit Kapoor, receive money from the tenants in cash for the first 5 months exactly to the day that they rented from you because they couldn't get a receipt from you? Mr. Amit Kapoor stated yes, quite simply. I didn't give them a receipt. They didn't. They gave me cash. I didn't have any receipts. I didn't give them a receipt. For 5 months, you didn't give them a receipt. Okay, so this case is dismissed. Case closed. Then he explained to Mr. Kapoor why, and the onus of burden is upon him to provide us rent receipts. We had videos taken surreptitiously because we didn't know how to get around this cat. So I audio recorded him live on video, and then I also live videoed him too without his consent, knowledge, or authorization, which would, as well as all you people know, that that in and of itself is a Freedom of Information and Privacy Act breach. It's not something I'm into. I need no problems with no feds, province, nothing. Fuck off and die. Leave us alone. You already done enough to us. So he appeals for a motion for time to extend time to appeal. He gets it to learn to buck the goddamn system, right? I caught the play. He goes ahead, goes to the RTC, gets his appeal granted, goes in front of the RTC. Highest you can go in a land, apparently, is a madam or male chief commissioner, which is exactly whom we got. And she came on the phone, introduced herself, asked us who we were. We did so, as likewise as the landlords, and proceeded to tell us that this is a cautionary warning to all parties involved in this particular matter. It is an illegal, indictable offense, jailable offense, in other words, to perjure yourself in the country of Canada while in a federal court hearing and or procedure, which is what this is. This is a federal lawmaking, law enforcing entity who can garnish your bank account and fuck your world upside down 6 ways from cock smoking Sunday with no oversight committee. Stay with me, people. It gets better. She allows undated, undocumented digital screenshots of evidence that I'm quite sure the landlord didn't even know he was sending, of the dates that we are supposed to pay rent, the days of which Mr. Kapoor went to RBC, 1550 St. Mary's Road, right here in Winnipeg, Manitoba, Canada. Same branch we deal with, by the way. And no more than 48 hours later, went and deposited the exact amount we were supposed to pay rent, because we paid him cash. Got the videos for those. RTB, not admissible. RTC, definitely not admissible. They wouldn't look at them. They knew we had them. Both parties knew, but they wouldn't look at them. Then the Madam Chief Commissioner goes on ahead and allows a digital screenshots, about 5 separate digital screenshots, 3 to 5, don't quote me. So I'm going to cover my ass and cover my bases and say simply 3 to 5 different digital screenshots of this slumlord, piece of shit motherfucker, Amit Kapoor. That showed him depositing the money no more than 48 hours after we gave it to him in the exact amounts. And then he scribbled those out with some type of digital stylus pen. Now, to further this, going forward, this system is completely fucked up. She allowed that as admissible evidence for some reason or another. I don't know how. In any other goddamn court in the land, it wouldn't be admissible. Then she proceeded to go on ahead and allow undated, undocumented, unnamed receipts for roughly the same amount that we were supposed to pay for rent for 5 months. And we paid it up to date. These motherfuckers need to be stopped dead in their tracks. They're slumlords. They come from British Columbia. And they're fucking everywhere, people. We got rent evicted. It's a real goddamn thing. We're now, since February 23rd, after we chewed through almost $21,500 in savings. From November 22nd, we booked into a hotel at $1,396 a week, $5,800 a month. Do the goddamn math. Now, we're saving our money. We've had money on multiple occasions. We go to Kijiji. We go to Booking.com. We've had several separate, not-for-profit housing advocates come down with us to the RTB and the RTC. And I posed to them the question, why has the RTB and the city of Winnipeg opted out of a central response unit? And they simply stated, boldly enough, might I add, that we're not at liberty to discuss such things, except that we're not at liberty to discuss such things with you. Both the RTP as well as the RTC. 3 separate, not-for-profit housing advocates. 3 separate trips. And 6 times they said, what? The same goddamn thing, like it was fucking scripted. People, do you know that the Court of King's Bench gets its actual judgeships, big boy and big girl panties judgeships, granted to them from the Court of Queen's Bench off of an eviction clearance quota rate? Kind of like, when the cops come around at the end of the month and sit at the fucking stops where they know lots of dump trucks are fucking speeding and disobeying traffic laws and kids' lives and all that kind of good shit. These motherfuckers have the same thing, only directly off the backs of our very own tendencies and our very own hard work. They get their judgeships granted to them as hearing officers from the RTB, from the Court of Queen's Bench, all 3 divisions, civil, criminal, and family, off an eviction clearance quota rate. This is sick and fucked up and systemic, people. Message. Wake the fuck up.